Jenny Lay-Fleury. It is so nice to meet you. I have to begin, of course, by acknowledging this amazing space that we're in, the Inclusive Tech Lab. Tell me a little bit about the purpose and the work that's done here.
This is a lab that is all about inclusion. It's about how can we take people across the lived experience, bring their insights into the room and create technology. So it's all about design, it's all about understanding, about digging into the details and making sure we're building inclusive and accessible technology. People walk in here and they're like, whoa. They love the jellyfish. They love all the toys. They want to learn what each piece is and how it's been built. And so it just drives great conversations.
You're the Chief Accessibility Officer here at Microsoft. As an adult, you experienced profound hearing loss and you are deaf. How has that informed your work and your mission here?
So I'm very proud, honored to be the Chief Accessibility Officer. I'm proudly deaf and disabled. And I do believe that anyone's life experience informs and impacts what we do here. So for me as a deaf individual, I'm walking in every day and I'm saying, well, hold up, where's the captioning? With AI, can we go from captioning to transcript to meeting notes? Can we have sign language interpreters visible? I'm able to add that insight in. And I think it gives me some degree of understanding across the spectrum of disability, and then I lean on people who are the experts. People with lived experience are the experts in their domain and pull them in. So it's been really important for me to own my identity and to use that to help what we do here.
The scope and scale of the disability community globally
Right.
is huge. At least 1.6 billion people, estimated that's 18% of the world's population. Why do you think there isn't more policy and practical focus on accessibility?
Disability is huge. It's growing. I think our understanding of it is in many ways still evolving. I think some of what we've learned over the last few years is that disability is, well, the pandemic is a disabling event. And so during that period, we learned a ton about mental health, neurodiversity. We're still learning. Cancer in the US is a disability. And so a lot of it is not visible. It's not something you can walk in the room and say, oh, that's a disabled person. 75% of it is not apparent. It's invisible to the eye. I think when you join a community like this one, people are not purposefully joining it. They're joining it because they've had an accident, an illness. About only 5% are born with a disability or deafness or neurodiversity. The majority of it are coming to it. And so there is an emotional journey that is part of that, of accepting disability as a part of your human. When we talk about diversity, we should be talking about disability in every room. And so to mention it, to talk about how important it is to own that and to ask for what you need to be successful, to know that any company, any organization is going to deliver that. So for me, that's, I need an interpreter who's sitting behind you. I need captioning, to ask for that, to know that it's going to be received well.
In a job application, frequently people are asked many questions about their diverse background, including whether they have disability. Do you think that applicants feel comfortable enough to disclose that in most situations?
I want people to feel safe and confident to say yes. I want that. I need that. I need people with disabilities at Microsoft in order to create the technology that we're creating. If we don't, we're going to create technology that doesn't represent the globe. And so it's an imperative for us to do that. But do I think that as a culture we feel safe to identify with disability today? No, I think we've still got a ways to go. And I do think that we've got to embed it, include it, talk about it, bold it, underline it. It's got to be visible enough so people can see themselves. And then we've got to talk about how people are being supported in the workplace, the initiatives and the incredible things that disabled leaders are accomplishing. And we've got to raise those and put those top of the we got to put those top of the board.
Let's talk about AI.
Yeah.
How do you view it for the disability community? What is its potential and what are the potential pitfalls?
Well, I think AI it's not new. I think that's the first thing that I've had to really invest my own learning in. This started in the 50s. And I think accessibility and the disabled community are brilliant adopters of new technology. And so many members of the disability community have been using AI in their tools for decades, especially in the last decade. In fact, some of our earliest apps, when I came into this role, 2017, we launched one called Seeing AI, that is still one of the best apps for the blind out there that uses AI to help blind people see the world. And then you get this new chapter of AI, generative AI. And I do believe we have this responsibility to protect against harms, and there are harms, very material harms, and then really push forward the benefits. And there are a ton of benefits, paradigm-changing benefits that we want to pursue. So our approach is to make sure that anything that we produce with AI is accessible, it is inclusive, that we really work to mitigate those harms, particularly in the data. And then we get after those innovation opportunities, and that's the fun stuff. And it is quite incredible what I think we can do.
It seems to me there's accessibility and then there's access, which are two different things. Some of these products that are available that make the world more accessible to the disabled community are expensive, that you might live in a place where they don't exist.
I think access and affordability are key constructs to what we need to do going forward as an industry when it comes to AI, when it comes to technology as a whole. So actually, if we talk about AI and some of what we're seeing here, some of the newest apps coming out for the disabled are free. They're available on multi-platform. They're on mobile, which is very important, as well as PC. One of those out there is Be My Eyes. It's a third-party app. It's not created by Microsoft. It's been around for a while. It again is for blind and low vision, and it empowers people to be able to visualize, see using sighted assistance. That was the previous premise, sighted assistance. So if I need to find something, I can call using the camera on my phone and connect to one of their 700,000 sighted volunteers.
I cover global convenings like the UN General Assembly, the Munich Security Conference, the World Economic Forum in Davos, and disability will sometimes be a part of the conversation. There'll be that panel about disability and development goals. It's not often that I see people from the disability community on the main stage in the big conversations. How do we change that?
Well, I think first you've got to make it so that main stage is available for that individual to speak at. A lot of these main stages are not actually accessible. They don't have ramps. If you are a person using a wheelchair, you can't actually roll up there and speak from the podium, the rostrum. That's a really important signal that we're giving, that we're not allowing people to have that leadership position and that voice from the main podium. So I think first we've got to focus on some basics of just making sure that everyone has what's needed to be able to speak. And then yes, we do need to include these topics. These are important. They're incredibly important this year. 75% of the world going through elections. That's massive. In the US, 40 million disabled voters. We need to make sure that all of this content is accessible and that we're empowering disabled voters to be able to make informed decisions when they go to the voting booths. And so I think it's a really crucial point. We got to embed disability into mainstream topics.
So there's a dating app called Hinge, and their slogan is, "We're the app we hope you delete," meaning if they do their job right, you'll have everlasting love. Do you hope there'll be a day when there's no need for a chief accessibility officer, and how do we get to that place?
I'm not an expert on dating apps. Just going to be real on that one. Do I hope that there's a day when we don't have chief accessibility officers? The first thing that's got to happen is we've got to have more chief accessibility officers. So do I believe that there's a day, decades from now, because that's what it's going to take, where we don't have? Absolutely. But at this point, where according to some statistics, WebAIM is one of them, only 2% of the world's websites are accessible today. There is a long way to go before I can see that being a reality. So I want to see the industry lean in to build more leadership in accessibility. And then hopefully we can get to the point where we have that conversation about getting me out of this job. And that next generation, I think, is coming. I really do think it's coming, and I'm very hopeful.
Jenny Lay Fleury, thank you so much.